my fellow motion designers. Welcome to a new video. And first of all, I just want to say I'm so happy that so many people joined our challenge on the Discord server a couple of weeks ago. And I'm totally overwhelmed by how many people that actually joined. It was so nice to see all of you guys' creativity and what you guys can do with this gin bottle challenge. So if you didn't participate in the first challenge, well, this is your lucky day, because I have a big announcement. We are doing another challenge right away. And this is a big challenge because we have a sponsor for the channel. And they're gonna sponsor a first place prize. And I'm so happy to announce that the sponsor is Huion. And Huion sent me this really nice tablet so I could review it. And they're also gonna send you guys a tablet if you win the next challenge. And it's a really nice tablet. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now and I'm in love with it. So the Inspiroy Giano has a really big tablet surface. And this means that you have a bigger canvas to play around with. And I've been using it in my 3D workflow. It has been such a nice tool to use instead of a mouse. And this device is really, really well built. So thank you so much, Huion, for sending us out. And thank you to Huion for also sponsoring the next challenge with a Inspiroy dial. And the next challenge is gonna be the 3D design community logo. So what you have to do is that you have to make a landscape around the logo in the center, and you'll be provided the 3D file for the logo, and you have to use the 3D model of the logo. You cannot alter the 3D geometry, but you can use different materials on it. And if you want to make a statue, you can also have foliage growing on it. But you have to create a landscape around it that tells a story. So that's the criteria. If you want to win this awesome tablet, then you have to make a landscape, and you also have to use the logo in the landscape. You can use any 3D software and any render you would like for this challenge. From now on, you have 2 weeks to do the challenge, and that's this date down here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you guys' awesome submissions. If it's something like the last time, then I'm in for a treat. So how do you submit? Well, you do a render, a still image this time, and then we would also like a viewport screenshot, so we know it's actually you that have created the stuff. Then we also want you to write down your Instagram name so we can shout you out when we're going through the submissions. And you can also write a small description of what you did, and that's it. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, the challenge is live. So before I head off, I'm just gonna show you a couple of tricks inside of Cinema 4D that can really help out when making this landscape. So let's just jump in to Cinema 4D. Alright guys, so here in Cinema we have a scene, and I've just gone and created like a landscape here, as you can see, with a little pond in it. I've just gone and placed some stones and rocks and cliff sides. We also have a little path here. And of course, the 3D design community logo. But we are missing something. And that's all of the foliage. So the trees, the bushes, and all of the little plants you have in the bottom of a forest. So if I come over here, you can see I've already imported a lot of foliage. So we have some pine trees over here, and we also have a small assortment of bushes and this long weedy kind of grass. Then we also have some blueberry plants over here, and we have some small plants with leaves, and that's it. So we'll put on the foliage in 3 phases. So first of all, we're gonna do the trees, and then we're gonna do the small bushes and the grass here. And afterwards, we're gonna do the small little details, filling in a couple of areas. So the way we do this is we actually go and select the scatter bin tool over here, and that'll bring up this menu. And for this tutorial, you can actually just lock this window over here, so you always have it open. Then first of all, we're gonna make our circle a bit bigger because it's really small right now. So I'm just gonna turn up the radius here so we get a bigger circle. You can also hold down the middle mouse button and then drag. Then you can make it bigger and smaller. So let's go over here in the background and let's start to place some trees over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here to clones and I'm gonna select a object palette. Then I'm just gonna pull in my trees here and that's it. So let's go down to the transform section here and then we'll turn up some rotation on the y-axis here. So when we draw out our trees, they're gonna be randomly rotated. And then we can also turn up a bit of variance here, 4 degrees maybe. So they're just not that perfectly straight up in the air. So now you can see we've drawn a line and it's just created a row of trees. And that's really not what we want. We want the trees to be closer together and really dense. So first of all, I'm actually gonna turn up my radius here and then I'm gonna turn down the object spacing. And then I'm also gonna turn up the object count down here. So let's just turn it up to 200. And you can see when you go above a certain number down here, you won't get any more clones. So that means that your object spacing is too high. So you need to pull that down. And that just means that the space between the objects are getting smaller. So you can cram more trees into a small area. And one more thing you also can do is you can use this splatter spacing. So you can actually space out the clones, or you can go minus and bring clones more together like this. And that could be nice. All right. So let me just do this. Maybe a little less. Yeah, that should be fine. So one last thing, you can see that our trees are actually following the slope of our environment here. And that is not really something we want because trees actually grow straight up and they don't follow the curved surface. So down here in the transform tab, I'll just go and set it to object. And that means that it will not follow the stroke or the curvature of our environment. It'll just stand straight up. And you can see we have some weird floating trees here, but we're actually going to fix that afterwards. So don't worry about that for now. All right. So let me just go and paint some more trees. Like this. Whoop. And we can even bring down our size here. Something like this to get little more trees into these gaps here. Paint a couple of trees. Yeah, now you can see our size needs to go up so to get a bit more random. And we can paint trees over here. Down here. Oh, something went into the rock. Cool. And then we'll also go and paint trees around. So we'll just paint a lot of trees here. And also on this back ridge here. So you can see we are easily going to make a lot of trees and they're all contained inside of this scatter object. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's just paint a couple more trees over here. And I think now we should be fine. So now you can see we have a really nice, dense looking forest here, but we still have some floating trees. So what we're gonna do is actually just go to our scatter object over here, and we'll just bring it down just like this. All right, so you can see there's still a couple of things that are floating, but we can actually cover that up with all of the other foliage we're gonna use. So for now, I'm just gonna call this trees over here. And let me just hide that. So our viewport is running a bit smoother. All right, so let's go select the pen tool again. Let's go and delete these objects here. And let's go and select these objects here. So the bushes and this small grass type over here. So I'll take all of these and put them in the object palette over here. And there's actually a neat trick that you can do. So if I just paint something here, you can see we have a lot of bushes and it's looking pretty unrealistic. So I'm just gonna turn the object spacing up again, kind of like this. I think that should be good. And we still have a lot of bushes, but we can actually go in here to the frequency. And that means that in our grass up here, we can actually type in a number like 15 for all of them. And for every 15th grass, it's gonna make one bush. So that means that we can actually have loads more grass than bushes. And if you have some other plants you want to put into this, you can make a really detailed and intricate brush where you have a lot of frequency numbers. So it's a really, really nice tool to distribute all of your assets. And I think this should be good for me. So I'm actually gonna delete this scatter here. Remember, if you delete a scatter, it will always keep the same settings in your scatter pin info. So don't worry about losing that info. And while my trees are turned off, I'm actually just gonna go here. Let's turn down my brush size. And I'm just gonna paint in. So let's see over here. Let's bring down the brush size. Let's bring up the splatter spacing like this. Cool. So yeah, let's just paint a lot of between all of the stones. Cool. So you can see you can get really nice detail with this brush. And I'm just gonna go around here and make a lot of bushes and grass. And let me just start by drawing here and bring up my brush size. And let's just begin to draw up here. So we also cover off this kind of area, but it doesn't have to be as detailed as the foreground. All right, cool. So now we have a lot of bushes. And if I just go out here, you can see that it's actually running pretty okay when we don't have the bushes selected. When we select the bushes, the viewport is suffering a bit. Let's just keep them unselected and then we can actually move around and see stuff. All right. So one more thing I actually want to do is create some small clusters of bigger bushes. Let's go into our scatter pin again. And let me actually just delete all of our grass down here. And let me go and just draw a line over here so you can actually see what's happening. So let me bring down the radius so we can actually use some fine control. Let me bring up the splatter count. And yeah, the spacing should be like this. All right, that could be really nice. So let's start by drawing these bigger bushes over here. So it can be a big bush here because it's close to water. Also up here. And it's really easy to like art direct stuff. It's so easy to just paint bushes and paint scrubs. And this tool really makes it such a creative process to place foliage. And I personally use this tool a lot when I'm doing these big landscapes, because I find it really tedious to use a cloner and then you have to make a selection on where you want to have all of your clones. And it's just a really, really tedious process. So this is so much faster and I really love the workflow of this. All right, cool. So before I go any further, I actually also want to use this on the foreground here. So let's just see if I can place some bushes over here. Kind of like this, maybe. Then we can also use some bushes here and some bushes behind. All right, let's put some here. All right, that should be good. And if you, like me, placed a lot of bushes over here and you want to remove some of the bushes, you don't have to delete the whole object over here. You can actually use the remove mode. And it's such easy mode. You just erase all of the bushes you don't want. So that's pretty nice. But I'm just gonna fill in these areas here. Oh, there's one that's going into the logo. So let's just remove these. Let's place some again like that. That's so much better. And yeah, it's a really, really versatile tool. All right, so now that we have placed these clusters of bushes, now it's actually time to use the small plants over here. So let me go into my scatter pin over here. Let's delete all of our objects in here. Let's take all of our small plants here and let's put them into the object palette. And as we did before, we are going to display them first so we can see what they're actually doing. As you can see, we have so many plants and I think it's actually too much for this. So I'm just gonna bring up this object spacing here to something like this. And you can also see we still have all of the objects going up, so we can actually turn it back to stroke mode. And now they'll actually lay flat on a curved surface. So that's pretty nice. So let's do that. So I can see that my 3 top objects up here are these big leaf plants down here. And the 2 bottom plants down here are actually our blueberries. So I'm just gonna bring up the frequency on those. Like this. Maybe let's bring it up some more. Like this. All right. That's pretty good. Maybe let's set it down again to 10. All right. That should be good. So we just have a lot of blueberries and not that many of these plants down here. And I'm actually going to go and pull down my radius again and pull up my spacing here to something like this. That should be good. All right, so let's delete this and let's actually go and find a way to place it. So if we actually place it out here, you wouldn't really be able to see it because it's actually covered by all of the other plants. So that's really not good. But maybe we could just place some here. That could be cool. Let's also just bring up this a little bit more. Just a couple to just break up the environment. Also over here, let's place some. Let's place some down here. And yeah, you maybe won't be able to see all of these. But one place you're definitely able to see all of these are in the foreground here. So let's carefully just place some of these. And I'm actually just gonna hide the bushes because it's much easier to draw underneath them this way. So I'm actually just gonna draw like this. And just gonna pull down the spacing. So we can have a lot more of these really awesome blueberries. And let's put some here. Let's put some here. And I'm just trying to cover some of the areas. So we actually have like a forest floor kind of deal. All right, that's pretty cool. Just like this. Cool. And then I'm actually gonna go in here and make some fine details. So let me just draw a line here. And let's pull the radius down. Let's also pull the splatter spacing up. Like this. Let's pull the object spacing up. And let's set every single frequency to 1 again. And that's so much better. All right. So now we can actually go in here and place some of these like this. And I can also go out here and place some of them. And like really art direct this scene. Like this. Maybe it also goes a bit out. And yeah, let's put some here. Let's put some down here. Put some in front of this stone. All right, totally cool. So one thing I actually forgot to do here in the foreground, I actually put some grass in. So I'm just gonna delete all of these objects here. And I'm just gonna find my grass again. Just gonna put in my grass down here. And I think the settings we already have are pretty good for this grass. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty nice. So I'm just gonna go around, put in some small type of grass down here. And I'm really just trying to make a diverse landscape. And maybe we should actually just rename these. So let's hide the small details. That way it's much easier to actually paint this grass on. So I'm just gonna go around, place in some grass. And also over here, let's make some lines, stuff like this. All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do now is actually go and turn every single thing on again. And as you can see, we also have our trees back. And we actually also need some trees here in the front. So let me just quickly go and do that. All right, so let's go to the pen tool again, and I'll just place some trees. So let's go and place a tree here. Let's go and place a tree here. And let's also place a tree out here. Maybe one back here. And yeah, I think we should be good. So I'll just call these front trees. All right, cool. And let's go and actually select this and pull these trees down into the ground like this. And let's go into our camera and see what we have created. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna render this and you can see what the result is. All right, so I've just rendered out this picture and this is what we have made. It's looking pretty awesome. And remember, this is before any post-processing. So definitely go in and bring up some details over here and really make it so it actually looks like real life. But you can actually see down here what we did with all of our foliage is really paying off. So we have some small plants here that are integrating the stones into the path. And we also have some grass that are slowly transitioning into these bushes that are slowly transitioning into these trees. And it's a really nice, harmonious landscape. All right, so that was this little tips and tricks tutorial. I hope you liked it. And I hope you'll join the Discord challenge. The link is in the description to the Discord server. And in there on the Discord channel, you can find a section that's called challenge. And there you'll find your submission page and what the criteria are. So thank you so much for Huion to sponsor this video and this challenge. And I'll see you next time for some more cinema magic. Goodbye.